Days of Our Lives twist. Andra's shocking return from the dead. Is it really Tony? Days of Our Lives delivers ultimate twist. Andra's shocking return. Or is it Tony's resurrection? Salem reels as a ghost from the Dai-Mera past walks back into the light, blurring the line between hero and villain. Salem, USA, the hallowed and often haunted halls of the Dai-Mera mansion have witnessed more resurrections than a biblical epic. Yet, even by Salem's notoriously lax standards for mortality, the sight that greeted a stunned Chad Peterson last Tuesday has sent seismic shockwaves through the town. There, standing in the study, casually examining a vial of what could only be a long-lost nerve agent, was a man dead and buried for over a decade, Andre Dai-Mera. But in a twist that only Days of Our Lives can deliver, the question on everyone's lips is not just how, but who. Is this the triumphant, albeit sinister, return of the master manipulator Andre? Or is it the miraculous salvation of his gentler, presumed dead twin brother, Tony? The line between the two brothers has always been blurred, and now it may have been erased completely, plunging the entire town into a paranoia-fueled nightmare where no one knows who to trust. A tale of two brothers, the Dai-Mera doppelgangers. To understand the magnitude of this revelation, one must first journey back through the tangled, blood-soaked tapestry of Dai-Mera history. Tony and Andre Dai-Mera, identical twins, were the sons of the legendary family patriarch, Stefano. Yet their souls were forged in diametrically opposed fires. Tony, portrayed with charm and pathos by the iconic Thaw Penglis, was the romantic, the man capable of redemption. His love for the vivacious Anna Fredericks often served as a lifeline, pulling him back from the abyss of his family's darkness. He was a Dai-Mera with a conscience, a man who fought, and often lost, the battle for his own soul. Andre, on the other hand, was chaos incarnate, played with chilling precision by the same actor, but often distinguished by a signature black glove. Andre was the embodiment of the family's evil legacy, a master of disguise, psychological torment, and cold-blooded murder. He was a creature of pure ID, reveling in the suffering of others. His death was not just an event, it was a collective exhale for a town perpetually on edge. Tony's fate has been equally tragic. Presumed dead multiple times, a Dai-Mera family tradition, his most definitive exit seemed to come from a terminal illness. The town, and especially a heartbroken Anna, mourned the good brother, the one who almost got away. The dichotomy was clear. Andre, the villain, was in the ground. Tony, the tragic hero, was enshrined in memory. Now that carefully constructed reality has been shattered by a single, impossible appearance. A phantom's enigmatic entrance. The return was executed with classic Days' dramatic precision. Chad, who has been struggling to steer the Dai-Mera empire toward a semblance of legitimacy against EJ's more ruthless tactics, was working late in the mansion's study. A violent storm raged outside, casting long, dancing shadows from the grand fireplace. The air was thick with the scent of old leather and impending doom. Hearing a faint, almost imperceptible click from a bookcase that housed a secret panel, a mechanism known only to a handful of Dai-Mera insiders, Chad investigated. The panel slid open silently, but it did not reveal a dusty, forgotten passage. Instead, it framed a man. He was impeccably dressed in a European-cut suit, his hair silvered distinguishedly at the temples. His posture radiated an unnerving, absolute calm. He held a small, ornate vial up to the flickering light. "I always wondered where Father hid the last of the black orchid," the man mused, his voice a familiar, cultured baritone that seemed to suck the oxygen from the room. He turned slowly, and Chad recoiled as if struck by a physical force. The face was one from his darkest nightmares, a face he'd seen in portraits and police files, a face that belonged 6 feet under. "Andre," Chad whispered, his voice cracking, his blood running cold. The man offered a thin, enigmatic smile that never reached his eyes. "Now, Chadwick, that is the question, isn't it? The answer, I fear, is far more complicated than you can possibly imagine." With that cryptic statement, he slipped the vial into his pocket and walked calmly past the paralyzed Chad, disappearing back into the labyrinthine corridors of the mansion. There was no grand declaration, no maniacal laughter, just a statement of profound ambiguity that has thrown every character connected to the Dai Mera saga into a tailspin of fear, hope, and utter confusion. A town gripped by paranoia. The fallout from this apparition is immense, personal, and threatens to destabilize the very foundations of Salem's power structure. Anna and Roman. For Anna, the sight of Tony's face is a waking dream that has become a terrifying Rorschach test. Her heart, which has ached for her lost love for years, is torn between desperate hope and paralyzing fear. Is this her Tony, returned to her by some miracle, a second chance at the happiness they were denied? Or is it the monster Andre, cruelly mimicking his brother to destroy what's left of her spirit? Her scenes are a masterclass in emotional whiplash, veering from joyous, tearful possibility to utter, bone-deep terror. Roman, ever the protective pillar of strength, is deeply skeptical. His cop instincts scream that this is an Andre-style game of cat and mouse, and his primary concern is shielding Anna from another devastating heartbreak. "I've seen this movie before, Anna," he warned her, his voice grim. "And it never ends well." Steve Patch Johnson and Kayla, as someone who has been entangled with the Dai Meras for decades, losing an eye to their schemes, Steve's reaction is one of grim determination. "Once a snake, always a snake," he told Kayla, his jaw set. He's operating on the assumption that Andre is back and is a clear and present danger. He's already begun his own off-the-books investigation, digging into old Interpol files and reaching out to shady contacts from his past, determined to expose the truth before someone gets killed. Kayla, the voice of reason, worries he's diving headfirst into danger, but knows nothing will stop him from protecting his family. E.J. Dai Mera. For the current head of the Dai Mera Empire, this is a direct threat to his power. Having worked tirelessly to consolidate his control, the return of an uncle, especially one as cunning and ruthless as Andre, is a corporate and personal nightmare. Is this a play for the throne? EJ is already mobilizing his resources, both legal and decidedly otherwise, to discredit or eliminate this new old rival before he can gain a foothold. The Cold War within the Dai Mera mansion has just turned hot. Chad and Kate. Chad is trapped between familial duty and sheer terror. He immediately confided in Kate Roberts, who has her own long, complicated, and often romantic history with both brothers. Kate's advice was brutally pragmatic. Assume it's Andre until proven otherwise. Trust no one. Smile to their face. Plan behind their back, especially when the man is wearing a dead man's face. Their alliance becomes a crucial front in the coming war for the soul of the Dai Mera family, a battle that will be fought in boardrooms and shadowy alleyways. A labyrinth of clues. So, who is he? The show's writers are expertly planting clues that point in both directions, keeping the audience perpetually guessing. The glove. In several shadowy sightings reported by other characters, the man has been seen wearing a single black leather glove on his left hand, Andre's signature accessory, originally used to hide a burn scar, and a symbol of his malevolence. Mannerisms. The cold, calculating demeanor, the subtle sneer when mentioning sentimental weaknesses, and his immediate gravitation towards Stefano's old weapons cache all scream Andre. His speech is laced with a familiar, condescending arrogance. Knowledge. He referenced a specific, dark period of Dai Mera history known only to Stefano's inner circle, a story Tony had tried to forget and would have no reason to bring up. A moment of softness, in a private, unguarded moment when he discovered a faded photograph of himself with Anna from decades ago tucked inside a book. The man's facade cracked. A single, genuine tear rolled down his cheek before he quickly composed himself, looking around as if ashamed of the emotion. The medical mystery. A discarded medical report, later found by Steve during his investigation, suggests the possibility of advanced cryogenic preservation or experimental amnesia treatments administered at a secret Swiss clinic. Exactly the kind of science Stefano would have used to save his favored son, Tony, from his terminal illness. The target, his first significant action, wasn't a violent attack, but a sophisticated corporate maneuver that strategically weakened EJ's position, something a resentful Tony might do to a nephew he feels has corrupted the family name, rather than a chaotic act of terror from Andre. The ultimate twist, a fusion of identities? Perhaps the most compelling and terrifying theory emerging from Salem's rumor mill is that this is neither man but both. What if Stefano, in his ultimate god complex, couldn't bear to lose either son? What if, through some forbidden science or radical psychological experiment conducted in his final years, he found a way to merge the identities of his two children, the good and the evil, into a single vessel? This new entity could be a living contradiction, a man wrestling with the soul of his benevolent brother and the murderous impulses of his malevolent twin. This would explain the jarringly shifting mannerisms, the moments of clarity and confusion, the acts of calculated corporate strategy mixed with flashes of startling humanity. He is a man at war with himself, and the families of Salem are the unwilling pawns on his chaotic chessboard. The question would then shift from, is it Andre or Tony, to the more horrifying, which one is in control right now? A legacy of deception and the future of Salem, the return of the man who may be Andre, Tony, or something entirely new, is more than just a ratings-grabbing plot twist. It is a narrative homecoming that strikes at the very heart of what Days of Our Lives does best, exploring the duality of human nature. The Di-Mera family has always represented the eternal struggle between light and dark, and now that struggle is personified in a single, walking, talking enigma. As this masterful story unfolds, viewers can expect a labyrinth of lies, shocking reveals, and emotional confrontations that will redefine relationships for years to come. Will Anna's love be enough to anchor the Tony within, or will it be used as a weapon against her? Will Steve's investigation uncover a horror beyond their comprehension, perhaps even implicating Stefano's ghost in a plot that extends beyond the grave? And can Chad and EJ put aside their bitter rivalry to face a common enemy that knows all their secrets and weaknesses? One thing is certain, the Days of Our Lives in Salem will never be the same. The ghost in the Di-Mera mansion is not a specter of the past, but a very real, very dangerous question mark hanging over the future. The answer to Andre or Tony will rewrite history, shatter alliances, and prove that in Salem, no one is ever truly gone. They just might come back as someone else entirely. The greatest mystery has just begun, and everyone is a suspect.